So the figure for UBI that I've been quoting is £47,000 a year, which is actually slightly incorrect since I was doing conversion between dollars and pounds in my head, and I didn't get the exact right figure. And the true figure for all adults in the United Kingdom divided by the GDP is about £40,000. So this is still higher than median income. Median income being £39,000, and it's a lot higher than the take-home pay that we have after tax, national insurance, and everything else, and student loans and whatnot. So the take-home pay in the United Kingdom currently is £24,500 per year to £26,000 per year. So you can see that if everyone were given £40,000 a year, they would be about 15 grand or so better off. So actually, this is a slightly more optimistic picture than what I'd initially suspected, and the overwhelming majority of people would be able to do quite a bit better in society and live quite lives of quite a great deal more comfort, I think, than the original figures I was proposing. And I think the reason for this is because if we had UBI, if we had everybody earning this flat rate, this equal rate of 40 grand a year, then we'd be paying everybody in the public sector that amount of money as well. And by far the biggest expense that governments have to pay is the wages of their employees, of everyone who works for the government. That is the biggest expense in the government. You know, the government will still have to tax UBI. It will have to tax UBI in other ways, I suspect, by keeping things like VAT and fuel duty. But I think there's a very good chance that we would no longer have to pay income tax, and the overwhelming majority of people would still be better off at the end of the month, the end of the year, whatever it is, with a universal basic income. And I'm disappointed in Gary Stevenson that he has not been campaigning um unambiguously for basic income. He's mentioned UBI in a few of his videos. He doesn't really talk about it all that often though. He doesn't really push for this idea. What he says ad nauseum again and again and again is tax the rich. I was like, tax the rich. Yes, tax the rich, I grant you. But what are you going to do with the money once you tax it? People aren't really all that happy with the idea of all that money going to the government, because governments waste the money and spend the money on ridiculous things and piss it away and give people in government insane salaries, for instance, when they don't necessarily contribute anything of any great value. And we're pissed off a lot of the time with how governments spend our tax money. And and all the right wing parties, Restore, Reform, the Conservatives traditionally, these all managed to secure their voter base via promising lower levels of taxation, specifically lower taxation for businesses. And it's very often business people traditionally who vote for the Conservative Party. The Conservative Party, if you like, is the traditional party of the middle class in the United Kingdom, whereas the old Liberal Party was traditionally the party of landed interests, i.e., the party of the aristocracy. So yeah, I think that the best route going forward, and what I mentioned in actually my last video on this is still very important as a barrier to getting this to happen. Politicians make more than 40 grand a year, quite a bit more than that. They still have to pay tax, of course, so after tax their take home pay is going to be less. However, their take home pay is probably still going to be more than 40 grand a year. So you have to get all the people in the House of Commons to vote for losing their income, basically, or losing some of their income. And I think if we were to bring this about democratically, the very uh, best chance of having that happen is via the Green Party. And influencing the Green Party to introduce UBI and to make the case to ordinary people that UBI would cause them to be better off. And I've been looking into the average salaries of all sorts of different workers in society. I was looking at the average salary of farmers, for example, and the average income of a farmer before tax is about £45,000 a year. So, that's not very much. After tax, that would be something in the 30,000s, I think, or maybe even the 20,000s. And that's the average farmer's income. And, farmers are traditionally very big supporters of right-wing parties. Reform UK have done a very capable job of enticing rural voters to vote for them with all sorts of policy ideas that they want to introduce that I don't think are particularly great. But nonetheless, they managed this, and they managed this by appealing to a rural voter base. And farmers are always trying to earn more money, and I think that if you were to make the case to them that UBI would end up benefiting them and giving them more money at the end of the month, then they would be more likely to vote for it. Since people are not stupid ultimately, and they don't want to be treated like they are stupid. And if the opportunity comes along where a party's going to say that if you vote for us and we're going to show you how we're going to do it, we're going to distribute wealth equally among society and give people basic income, for instance, and you're going to end up with £40,000 a year if we can eliminate income tax, student loan contributions, and national insurance. And I think we should forgive student loans as well, because I think it was highly unfair and it's crippling the economy even now, since people are paying back up to 9% of their income on student fucking loans, and loads of people in the workforce are deeply in debt, and it is a graduate tax basically. And yeah, making the case that for lowering taxes, actually, for eliminating taxes, hopefully, and just giving people an equal share of the GDP, the overwhelming majority of people would be far better off in such a system. So, I believe in this project. I started the Omega project a few years ago while I was homeless in Amsterdam. That's where I came up with the idea for this. And I started like graffitiing little Omega symbols with a full stop after the Omega on things, and I might start doing that again. I don't know exactly, but yeah, I am getting the message out there. But I think it's important, and I think Gary Stevenson has a consummate grasp upon economics and the theory behind all this. But I think when it comes to putting in place the solutions that we all want to see, I think he's somewhat weaker on that element of things, and I think his channel is largely propped up by a lot of young men, more than likely, obsessively watching YouTube videos and trying to learn more about how to make money trading stock. And this is a disease in society, unfortunately, and it's kind of a fantasy that rich people sell the young and the poor, that they can become. And there's all sorts of videos and courses out there, and people trying to give you guides on how to get rich, and you pay for them, and they're gonna and it's all rubbish. It's all a scam. None of it will make you rich. And the overwhelming likelihood in trading, like with gambling, because trading is gambling basically, is that you will lose money. And this is part of the reason why we have so much poverty in the United Kingdom at the moment. It's because we don't have equal pay. We don't have UPI to redress the balances between the rich and poor. We have income inequality, just like Gary Stevenson says. And I don't think that's the truth for all fans of Gary Stevenson. I think a huge number of people are also very much interested in this inequality message and reducing inequality, and making it fair for the rest of people in society and not just the rich. but I am still thinking about this backlash that I got on my first video about this, these 12 dislikes. And I'm thinking that, yeah, this is not popular at all with either trust fund babies who are spending too much time on the internet, on YouTube, and B, with people who are perhaps not trust fund babies but worship the rich lifestyle and want that more than anything and fawn and scrape over the rich. And I think that's part of the problem as well.